If you ever look into goal setting or manifestation, you often come across vision boards. I've always loved the idea of them. They can inspire us to be better versions of ourselves and help us to attract things with the law of attraction. But I have 5 problems with vision boards. 1, we're already surrounded by so many visuals and thoughts from the internet and social media. We're surrounded by the images of lives that look better than ours. And the thing is, to create a vision board, most people use photos from social media. That means they're using the noise around them to decide what they want and constantly surrounding themselves with it. 2, most vision boards have photos of other people, and this is probably the main thing I don't like about them. Firstly, from a practical point of view, I just find it really awkward to have photos of other people on your wall when people come over. But also, when you live with a partner, they might not want your vision board in the bedroom. But even that aside, when we have photos of other people, it means we're obsessing over someone else instead of ourselves. We're looking at their lives instead of ours. 3, vision boards focus on just that, visions and dreams. But isn't your current life more important than the life that hasn't arrived yet? 4, vision boards give us tunnel vision, and that's not always a good thing. So I have a friend who always had this image of what her relationship would look like, and it was basically this Instagram-worthy relationship. And now she's 30, she's single, and she really regrets that she wasn't more open-minded. 5, vision boards place an emphasis on how things look instead of how things feel. I mean, you are meant to look at a vision board and try and feel as if you have everything already, but I just think it gets lost in aesthetics. So even when I wanted to be a dentist, I always had this image in my mind of owning a dental practice and being the town's local dentist, and that actually made me feel good. But what I didn't think about was how I'd feel day to day, and that's way more important. So I think there's something better than a vision board, and that's being obsessed with you and your life instead of looking at someone else's. And I don't mean this in a selfish way. I just mean that we should be looking at our current life and the people in it more than we're looking at our future life and the lives of others. And here's how I do that. I take a lot of photos, and most of them are of smaller moments. So we'll be having a family dinner and I'll take a photo of everyone sitting at the table. Rolo will curl up right next to me and I'll take a photo. Sometimes I'll notice the way the clouds part to reveal the moon and I'll take a photo. I know you probably don't associate taking photos with being in the moment, but I just think in a world where we're surrounded by the images of other people, it's so much better to have images of our own lives to look back on, and I just think it helps me to see the beauty in my own life. I also journal a lot and write down those memories, and I print out my photos and stick them in my journal. I feel like with photos on our phones, we tend to start thinking in terms of social media. So it's just so much nicer to have physical photos that are just for you, that you don't have to share with anyone else. And for me, doing this just means that I'm looking back on those moments a lot more, and it's become a source of joy in my life and a way of finding gratitude. At the start of this year, most people thought new year, new me, and they went on to set New Year's resolutions. But when we think of goals, we just tend to think about where we want to end up, and often that's really influenced by what other people are doing. I just feel like goals don't leave you open to not knowing what you want, changing your mind, or just embracing serendipity. My life started to look more like mine when I stopped focusing on goals and instead focused on values. And I know I talk about this a lot on this channel, but I just feel like values cut through the noise of social media. They're not aesthetic images that make us feel good or pretty quotes that we can share on Instagram. They're the core of us, and they make you more decisive, more authentic, and way more confident. So I do have a few values or a few things that are important to me, but I have two kind of like overarching values, and they're joy and authenticity. So whenever I'm not really sure what I'm doing, that's what I lean into. So when I was navigating a career change, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but it was joy that guided me in the right direction. When I was too scared to put myself out there on YouTube, it was authenticity that helped me to show up. Those two values have made me experience the life that would be on a dream board without me having to attach any goals to it. I really recommend that you figure out what your values are, and I've created a board with today's sponsor to help you do that, but we'll get to that in a moment. I think it's so easy to go on Instagram or go on Twitter, see someone doing something cool, and then think that you want that too, and you add it to your dream board. But the problem is you end up wanting so many things, you constantly feel behind and inadequate, and you're just all over the place. So something that I've been doing recently is consuming with myself in mind. So like I said, I have my two main values and I have other things that are important to me. And I now only consume things that are related to that in some way, and I mute everything else. I'm not going to read a book on leadership or follow a makeup account or read a Twitter thread on how to start a company, because those things aren't important to me. Instead, I consume things about slowing down, building meaningful relationships, and becoming more authentic. I've also started to take notes on what I consume so I can make them applicable to me and my life. And I link everything back to my values so that everything is really intentional. And a tool that's helping me to do this is Scrintal, who are very kindly sponsoring today's video. Scrintal is a crossover between a note-taking and mind-mapping tool. So you can create cards for a single note and add images, links, and PDFs. You can group cards together using tags, but then the real beauty of Scrintal is you can bring your cards onto a board, create links, and organize them. And this helps you to visualize and make sense of your notes. And this is what I'm so excited about, because I think note-taking can be really overwhelming. I try really hard to structure everything and put things into folders really neatly, but our brains just don't work that way. And that's one of the main reasons that I don't use Notion as much as I used to. So I'm going to be honest with you guys, Scrintal is an early stage startup, and that means that the tool is still being developed. But the beauty of this is that features are always being added and early users can help to shape the product. They have a free plan coming out later this year, but you can sign up for early access for $5 a month, which gives you unlimited boards, cards, file uploads, and priority support. And the first 5,000 people who sign up will lock this price in forever. So I'm going to leave the link in the description below so you can check them out. And I'll also leave a link to a board that I've created for you so you can figure out your values and see how I consume with values in mind. Having a vision board with images of happy relationships isn't going to help you if you're not putting yourself out there. Images tend to focus on the end goal, and they make that transformation from where you are now to what you want seem really simple. But in actual fact, it takes effort and work to change your life. And that doesn't have to be huge things. It can just be small little things that you add to your day. So for example, I wanted to work from home, but my life as a dentist felt so far off that, and seeing images of other people working from home just made me feel like I would never get there because I had no idea how it's going to happen. But then I started doing things outside of work, like YouTube and illustrating, and it felt like I was essentially working from home even though my main job was in a dental practice. And so by doing that, I felt like I was already doing what I wanted. I didn't have to wait for a vision board to come true. I know this is super corny, but once you embrace yourself and who you are, your life becomes your dream life. And my entire life changed when I started to do this. And started to love myself instead of constantly trying to change myself all the time, which is what I was doing. I started to admire things about myself, and that made me more confident to go out there in the real world. Vision boards do look great, but once you step away from your vision board and into your real life, you realise it's a canvas for so much possibility.